Hey guys, it's Heath here. One of the things that I've noticed on a lot of my support calls and stuff like that is a lot of people are having issues with their M2 with the head becoming unlevel while it's seated into the carriage. So that way it doesn't form a proper seal to the actual head carriage and or to the capping station and will not allow ink to suck through it and not allow the wiper blade to squeegee it properly. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to check it first. So that way it's an easy way to tell whether or not the actual print head is seated to the capping station and it is level in the head or in the carriage itself. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to slide the machine over here. I'm going to slide the camera over so that way y'all can see it. Okay, let's take the camera off here. I'm going to give y'all like a nice little zoomed in shot here of the head inside the machine. So as I'm looking at this, just looking at it, I can tell that it's not level, okay? Right in this area, right around in here, that is the ramp, the little black ramp, is lower than the silver part of the print head. That silver part of the print head that encompasses the head is supposed to be lower than the black ramps next to it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to test this now. I can physically see that it's not down in its lowest position, but I'm going to test it anyway just to kind of show y'all what it looks like. Okay, so what we'll need is a syringe and some paper towels. Paper towels are for just in case it gets messy. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide that print head of the carriage back on top so it locks into position. I'm going to grab my syringe. Okay. If you do not have one of these, you can actually order them from Coleman and Company. Make sure that it's nice and loose here so that way it doesn't stick or anything like that. All right. So then what we'll do, we'll come over here to the waste compartment. Okay, inside the waste compartment down here, there is a set of tubing. I'm going to pull this off so that way you can see it. But the first thing we'll do is get the waste bottle out of here. So what we do is just tilt that out and just set it to the side. We'll use that to catch the waste ink in here. All right. So now, down here in the waste compartment, let me get down in here so y'all can see it. All right. So up inside here, we have a couple sets of tubing. All right. The first one, this one right here, is coming from the bottom of the capping station, these two tubes. So what I'll do is just grab this tube and pull it out of the little funnel here. And be careful, we'll sling ink on you if it flicks. All right. So I can see that it's connected to the capping station from underneath, and then it goes into a Y adapter right in here. Okay. And then it has a little connector on there that I can spin my syringe on. All right. So now I'm just going to let that hang there. I'm going to put my camera back. So what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to grab that tube. I'm going to wipe off the tip and stuff, make sure it doesn't get real dirty and get my hands dirty. If you don't have ink on your fingers by the end of the day, you're not DTG printing. All right. So from here, I'll just take my syringe and spin it onto the end of it. Okay. So with the head on top of the carriage, if I pull on the syringe and it just pulls and doesn't really suck it back in, all right, let me see. I guess I have the head. It's kind of just enough to be level in there. I want to show you what it's going to look like when it's not. Okay. All right, so let's try this again. All right, so when I pull on it, if it just sucks air bubbles in there and it doesn't really fill up with ink very well, then we're going to have an issue. It'll basically kind of sound like this. So when I pull this through, I can just hear air sucking and it doesn't pull the syringe back. All right. It will fill up with a little bit of ink in there, but it's not full up with ink. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to wipe off the tip here. I'm going to leave my syringe just dangling here from the side. Now I'm going to address the actual level of the head. I'm going to show you where to grip the head and get it in its lowest position. All right, so let's slide back over here. Sorry, guys. Went on a little roller coaster there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this thing down so that way y'all can see where I'm gripping. All right, so from here I'm going to get a clean cloth. Maybe. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lower this, or take the little camera off here. That way y'all can see up inside here. All right, so I'm going to clean off around the edges here real quick. Sure I don't have any like little ink globbers or anything like that that might get stuck or rub across the head. I need to make sure that I do not rub across the actual surface of the print head itself. Okay? So I never want to touch the actually shiny part of the head because that's where all the nozzles are. All right. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this over here a little bit. Make sure I get a good angle on there. Okay? I can grip it from the back of the head here and the front of the head here. So I can grip the sides of the head and I can wiggle this thing down. And I can almost feel it seep down lower. Okay? But then that's not enough. I need to make sure it stays down as well. All right. So what I can do is loosen up these little thumb screws here. You got that one, and you have this one right here. Sliding it over to the middle, so that way it has the fans that are up here aren't in the way, makes it a little bit easier. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go to the right side of the head carriage. And what I'm going to be doing is taking this retaining bracket. I'm going to actually pull this out a little bit. I'm going to go one extra step. I'm going to take the retaining bracket completely off. Take these thumb screws out. Because I noticed from previous times of me doing this, that this retaining bracket isn't holding the dampers down as firmly as I would like. So what I do is just kind of weave this out of here. So that way I have the retaining bracket in my hand. Okay, and this is the piece that goes across the dampers here. So then what I'll do with it is I'll take it and kind of bend it a little bit in the middle, kind of bend it down some in the back. So that way it kind of gives it a little bit of a bow to it, sort of like a little curve. Once I have that, I'll weave it back through the top here. Just like so. Being careful not to damage the ribbon cables or poke any of the dampers. All right. And then what I'll do is get the thumb screws started. So I won't tighten them all the way down, but I just want to get it really started into the hole so that way when I do clamp them together, that that'll be just a couple little turns to tighten it. All right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the head is nice and secure in there. So I'll grip it from the back and just kind of make sure to wiggle it down in there. Okay. Something else that'll make it easier for you as well is making the slant lever up here go all the way to the top so it's not pushing up against the head. And we'll lower that back down at the end of our procedure as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make sure this bracket, I'm going to weave my thumb in here, making sure not to be careful with the ribbon cables. And what I'll do is put my thumb here, and then I'll grip it on the bottom of the carriage by the little black ramp there. So that way you can see both my thumb and my forefingers down here on the bottom. So then what I'll do is push down on it. So that way I'm pinching my fingers together. So that way I'm pushing the dampers down into the head and the head down into the carriage. So once I have that gripped, then I can tighten up this right-hand side one. All right. Once I got that nice and tight, I'll come over here to the other side and grip it kind of in the same place. All right, across the top, retaining bar there. But before I tighten, I'm going to make sure my dampers are straight. All right, lined up. Put my thumb up here on top of the retaining bracket. And then underneath, I'm going to grip it right there where the black ramps are. So then, as I push it down, you can kind of see that head and the dampers pushing tight. But before I tighten that screw, I always want to make sure that the head is seated down in there. Then I can tighten my thumb screw over here on the left. All right. So then I make sure the head's down in there properly. All right. Then over here to the side, I'm going to take this little slant lever and push it down to about where the line is. Yours on the factory ones have a line where it goes down to, but it's about midway. So just kind of line those up. But once I have that down, then I know my head is level. So let's look under here now and see what it looks like in comparison. Okay, so looking at this, I can tell that the black ramp is basically, or the silver part that encompasses the head, the silver part right here and here, are lower than the black ramps next to it, but it's only about half a millimeter. Okay, but let's do the little test first. Let's put this back on top of the capping station. All right. So then I'll come back over and use my syringe. Let me put you back on the tripod real quick. That way it's nice and stable. All right, so then when I pull with my syringe, but before I pull my syringe, I need to make sure that my circulation system's running. To do that, I just come back to the back of the machine, and the little blue wire over here for the circulation system, right here, all we'll need to do is unplug it and plug it back in. Then I notice my circulation system coming on. So then let's come back over here. Let's take a look at the sides of the dampers. What I'm going to be paying attention to is the little windows right there. If you notice, the white ink kind of pulses in there when the circulation system's running. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I pull on the syringe. It's going to have a vacuum to it, okay? And then I'm going to watch this ink kind of be sucked out of that window. And I'll look at the other dampers as well. So then let's back up just a hair. So when I pull on the syringe, it actually has a lot of suction. It actually suck that sucker back in on you. All right. So what I'll do is just kind of hold it there, making sure not to go past the plunger. Don't go too far, because what will happen is that thing will pop off and you'll have a big old mess. So you'll notice that the ink is just slowly filling this syringe up. So I'll let it fill up to about like 20, 30 cc's. Right there. Once you got it filled to the brim, then the thing won't suck back in anymore. I can take off my syringe and just put it right here in the waste bottle. All right, I'll do that probably twice. Another 20, 30 cc's of ink. I'm watching the sides of the dampers there to watch it empty out. And then it'll kind of fill back up. So as I'm pulling, you'll see it go down, kind of suck in. You almost even hear the little plastic suck in. Then when I let go, it fills them back up. Okay, but we're not done yet. So what I have to do is take off this little syringe here, Put my waste in my bucket. There we go. And then back over here, we're going to stick this tube back into the funnel. All right, just so y'all can see it, so we have it, the clarity of it. So inside your waste compartment, at the top of that little funnel that drains down in here, this little thing, we'll just take this little tube and stick it in there, into the top. It just lays inside there, just like so. So that way, as the waste comes out, it goes into the funnel and then down to your waste bottle. Make sure that when you put your waste bottle back in, that the little tip goes into the spout, or you'll have a big old mess when it starts doing head cleans, because it'll just drain down to the bottom of your machine. As you can see, one of our techs did not do. I'm not pointing fingers. All right, so from here, the last steps of this is to do a few head cleanings. All right, to do those head cleanings, all you have to do is hold down the enter button for about 3 or 4 seconds. But before I do that, I always make sure to load the bed first. Once the bed is loaded, I'm going to let y'all kind of look at the capping station when it's doing the head cleanings. So what I'll do is just hold down the enter button for about 3 or 4 seconds. It'll say cleaning on the control panel, and you'll hear the print head start to move. So what I want to look at is I notice that my dampers are starting to fill up. It does not have to go all the way to the top. Halfway is plenty good. Okay, but when I'm looking at my capping station pad, I notice that it has streaks of white going right there, and then I can see the colors faintly. It's kind of hard to show on a video though. I'll probably want to do about 2 or 3 head cleanings, and then I'll probably let the machine sit for a couple minutes, and then do a nozzle check. And then if the nozzle check is still a little bit spotty, go ahead and print a dark shirt. Now you can actually see that I have 2 channels of white ink there, 2 channels of white ink there. I can see my yellow, cyan, magenta, and black as well, all in the capping station. All right, let's do one more head cleaning. And then we'll be done. Okay, I hope this was informative and kind of demystified the leveling of the head. Okay, if you have any questions or concerns or comments, please get in touch with us. You can call into our 800 number, or you can create a support ticket on support.coldesi.com. All right, so hopefully this will demystify some of these little problems that people have been having, and we can go from there. But like I said, if you have any questions or comments or concerns about something, definitely get in touch with one of your technicians before you just assume to do something. Okay, hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time.